Hello and welcome to Times of India. I'm Aditi Prasad, and we're in the last stretch, literally the last stretch. I know I've said this in the previous show also, but this one is like literally last because India actually has already given its 2024 verdict. Don't be surprised because 486 or 90% of India has already voted, uh, done, dusted, ballots locked. Yes, the final phase is left, but that's just about 57 seats. Himachal, Punjab, Chandigarh, and of course the remaining seats of Odisha, Bihar, Jharkhand, and Uttar Pradesh, of course. Now, so will it? It's completely not wrong to say that the verdict is done and dusted. People have voted. People have already made their choices very clear. Of course, those choices are inside the EVMs right now. Will it be charge so par for NDA? Can Congress breach the 100-seat threshold? Which are the swing states to watch out for? And what will the exit poll numbers reveal? Now, I have with me a stellar panel. Yashwant Deshmukh is just sent his apologies. He's just going to be joining perhaps a little late today. But Rahul Verma, fellow at the Center for Policy Research, is there with us. Welcome to the show, Rahul. Aarti Jairath, senior journalist. You all have seen her, and she's obviously given her valuable insights into the political commentary into elections 2024 all along these last 50 days. It's been crazy, it's been chaotic, and of course Ratan Sharda, political analyst and author, also joins us. Now we're going to divide this show into three equal parts. We're going to talk about what is it that the two things that surprised you in the campaign, what will the exit poll numbers reveal, and what are your predictions, of course, and finally, what or which are the two swing states that are going to decide this verdict? And I'm going to start with you, Aarti Jairath, today. What, according to you, what are those two things that surprised you during this 45-day long marathon? The last 45 days have been very exciting. It started with 400 par versus constitution, change kar denge, narrative badal raha hai, polarized with Muslim manifesto, Mangal Sutra. On the other hand, the Rahul Gandhi going down to the caste breakup, and suddenly the spectre of Mandal, which was behind us, has suddenly come back to haunt us again. So which are the pivotal moments, according to you, in this 45-day campaign that has taken place over the last several weeks that will define verdict 2024?
Well, I think the first really big surprise was the way the Prime Minister completely changed the tone and tenor of his campaign, changed his narrative. He started out with development, his guarantees, his vision for Viksit Bharat by 2047. And then after the first phase on April 19th, he went to Rajasthan, Banswara on Sunday, the 21st of April, and his narrative had changed completely. That's when he went totally into this polarizing, divisive mode, talked about Ghuspetia, talked about those who have more children, talked about the Congress manifesto, that they would snatch away wealth from Hindus, including the Mangal Sutra of married women, and give it to those who have more children. And since the 21st of April, he has hammered this point in many different ways again and again and again at virtually every rally that he has addressed. So, this obviously became the theme of his campaign. And it came to me as a huge shock because, we went into this election thinking that, it was really a done deal, that the BJP was winning. And that there was, so what is the need for this polarizing rhetoric? I mean, the BJP believes that polarization is an election winner. But if you're winning the election anyway, why should you have to resort to this? So to me, that was one big shocker. The other thing that has surprised me in this election is the way the issue of unemployment seems to have become a major issue amongst voters. Now, look, in every election, people talk about unemployment and price rise and sadak and bijli and pani and the usual grumbles that people have in a country which is not very well developed and still is steeped in poverty. But this time, the issue of unemployment, and I think this Lokniti CSTS survey just before the elections, I think it was sometime end March or beginning of April, it pointed out that unemployment is emerging as a key deciding factor. It has never been as strong as it is in these elections. So, I mean, we're looking actually today at an election where the prime minister is trying to fight on an emotive issue of polarization and, Hindu Muslim, but the voter seems to be, sort of responding on a major bread and butter issue, which is joblessness, the desire for employment.
So
So
Aarti,
these to me are the two pivotal things of these elections.
so Aarti, you are saying that 400 par is not going to happen. Forget 400 par. Are you looking at a majority or a successive third term for this government then? Because from what you said were the two pivotal points were for you for this election. It does seem that it's not going the BJP way, because if unemployment and polarization is being done on one end, and unemployment is the big narrative that you're saying for this election, it did become that. It's clearly not going the BJP's way. What's your
Well,
prediction?
it's certainly not going the 400 plus way or the 350 plus way. That is absolutely certain. Uh, I don't want to make predictions. Look, I'm not a psephologist, I'm just a journalist. And, I can only judge the mood. I can't put the mood into numbers. But, I mean, I would still think the BJP, with its superior election machinery, with its superior vast resources, should be able to swing a majority. Despite the fact that employment is such a big issue. Um, but let's wait till June 4th to get the actual numbers. I think that would be the wise thing to do.
Okay. All right. So, but despite this, despite unemployment becoming a big issue, you're saying that the BJP is still likely to, get its majority, but definitely not
Yeah,
the
but
400 par number.
because employment is such a big issue, I mean that the way we went into this election thinking, when the prime minister said "Char so par," we almost all kind of believed it, and that belief seems to have gone. That, I mean, there's no way the BJP is getting those kind of numbers, because these issues, which matter to people, seem to have suddenly become very important, and I think would definitely affect would affect margins. Last time in 2019, we saw the BJP winning by huge margins, anything from 3 to 5 lakhs. So I think would definitely affect margins, and has definitely pulled the BJP down from this huge majority that was being anticipated to hopefully somewhere near a majority, or just about a majority, or just over a majority,
Ratan
in that
Sharda ji,
shape.
let me bring you on that, and then I'll come to your surprises for during this election. But how would you respond to that? BJP just about managing to sort of get a majority instead of the huge leads that they were promising or predicting.
Uh, First of all, Aditi, I never took the 400 seats bet. You know, it was a bait for the opposition. It fell for it. The way it went from
I
350.
think Mr. Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister himself, said that in one of the TV interviews I was listening to
I'm
him.
talking from the beginning. I'm saying from beginning, because it was definitely a bait for the opposition, which fell for it. For rather than proving that they can score more, they went saying, "How can BJP score so much?" So this denial of BJP's victory was biggest pitfall that opposition fell for. I always believed that BJP could get around 325, 350, and that's it. Because how do you score where you already scored very high? And how much new ground can you break in South, which is where the real story lies this time? That is point one. point two is that as far as unemployment, etc., is concerned, why it is not picking up? Because the figures being bandied about are so weird. Priyanka Gandhi says 70 crore youth are unemployed. Total number of youth, as per the population figures, is around 43 crores. So how can 70 crores be unemployed? Another one says 43% unemployment. Again, which age group, which are the people who are getting unemployed? No figures. So figures are not matching, nor are people's behavior on the ground is it matching. So let us see how it pans out. I will not dispute that point right now. I am just sharing my views. As far as the surprises are concerned, for me the biggest surprise, pleasant surprise, was huge turnout in Jammu Kashmir, especially in Kashmir Valley, which was not expected because last it was around 37%. Again, it was during Atal Bihari Vajpayee's regime. After that is a huge jump. Enthusiasm seen there. The welcome to the democratic process seen there is unbelievable. I think that's the biggest victory for Indian democracy. Second was a very strange kind of, hate campaign run by Rahul Gandhi, which is totally based on rhetoric, none of the facts. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन खत्म कर देंगे, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन समाप्त कर देंगे और जला देंगे, रिजर्वेशन खत्म कर देंगे. When none of the manifesto BJP talks about it, none of the BJP leaders talked about it, and has gone through all the campaign. This negativity is the last I saw during Mandal Commission time, when there was huge fight between castes. And do we want to go back to those days of 1980s when we put caste against caste, we put people against people? Today I was reading a report in Maharashtra where the Marathas have been boycotted by Banjari community because they beat up their family who went to vote for BJP. And that is the kind of hate that is people are promoting. So I did not ever believe that Congress, a national party, would take that path or reversing and regressing kind of politics when they pick up his campaign speeches. वो आ जाएंगे, वो ये कर देंगे, वो कर देंगे. It was very negative. And on a lighter note, the alliance surprise. How is it an alliance? You have Bengal and Congress. In Bengal, Congress and TMC fighting tooth and nail. Got Kerala Congress, communist at each other's throat. In Punjab, Congress and TAP on each other's throat. In they have refusal to have a name. This is the kind of alliance, and there is no leader there. What kind of alliance was this, which everybody accepted, went on debates saying we are all one, but on the ground they are not one? So these are surprises for me, and these are some of the things that I
But
think are very challenging for Indian democracy, which will hurt us in coming years. It is not going to affect the result now. I believe that BJP is bound to get 325 plus on its own, but the kind of hate campaign started now will not stop. That's my fear, and that is going to hurt politics in coming years.
But Ratan Shardaji, just a thing, for those who say, and while I completely agree with you individually, that, perhaps caste-wise, the caste census and, caste-wise breakups are probably taking India back, but so is Hindu-Muslim conversation, isn't it?
See, that's the game. You say Hindu Muslim, then you say Muslim are all one and Hindus are divided into groups. Then you say Jat versus Harijan, you say Jat versus Brahmin. So once you, on one side, you break Hindus into caste and then say we are secular. Then if somebody says Hindus are one, you say it's communal. So there is a difference. When you are deliberately trying to break a society, by showing it as one monolith block and majoritarianism, etc., actually are playing with the civilization itself, because Hindu-Muslim riots are something new which started now. They go back to ages, and they have been subdued. Sometimes they flare up, they go down sometimes, depending on the government at hand. You look at UP now, there are hardly any riots, and we say UP is very oppressive government. Riots can be controlled only by very firm law and order machinery. As far as elections are concerned, who started saying that we will give rights to minority, majoritarianism is bad, and we will have special rights for minorities? Congress. When Congress says it, BJP is going to pick up, because you are trying to play the game which BJP is very adept at, in the sense that they can play Hindu-Muslim card much better because they're very clear on what kind of policies they have which support every minority group, but they do not allow this talk of minority quota, etc. So this is the ground which was opened by Congress.
A quick rebut from you, Aarti, because I need to I want your views on that, and then I will come to you, Rahul, on your surprises for this election. Aarti, so for those who blame the BJP for Hindu-Muslim polarization, breaking up the Hindu identities into castes and subcastes. Isn't that polarization too?
Well, I mean, the BJP has done it as well as all the Mandal parties and the Congress. I mean, I'm sorry, the way the BJP has gone out of its way to woo the OBCs, the way they do their ticket distribution, taking into account the caste factor in every constituency. When the Prime Minister did his last cabinet expansion, which was some 2, 3 years ago, the PMO circulated an unofficial note to all journalists in which they gave a caste breakup of all the ministers who had been inducted. So, I mean, everybody's playing caste politics. It's not that the BJP is purer and holier than the rest of them and, doesn't believe in caste politics. Everybody's playing caste politics. So, but I mean, Aditi, you did talk about, I mean, if caste is taking us back, it's a regressive thing. I think the Hindu-Muslim polarization is far more dangerous because, uh, you know, it really tears the social fabric apart. Caste is something that Hindus have lived with for centuries. And I think it's really ingrained in us. I mean, we look at the surnames to see what caste that person belongs to. When you look at the ads for marriages in the Times of India, and you have, Brahmin groom, Kshatriya brides, and so on and so forth. It's all very, very much geared to caste. It is the skin of our society. But Hindu-Muslim polarization can tear your social fabric apart. And I think that, the kind of language that was used by the Prime Minister this time, to my mind, is really shocking because he is, after all, the Prime Minister of the country. He is not the Chief Minister of a state. He is not just a leader of a political party. He is the Prime Minister. And he is a Prime Minister for every community, every caste, everybody in the country. And I do not think it behoves the Prime Minister to speak in such communal terms, using dog whistles that are well known to describe the Muslim community, which, by the way, later he tried
He
to,
clarified. He said it was
he
just
tried to
for
clarify.
poor, for all.
He said that when I talk about those with more children, after all, the poor have more children. But everybody knows what it means when you say those who produce more children. It is a catchphrase for Muslims because the RSS and the BJP have continuously said that the Muslim population is growing because the Muslims have 4 wives and they produce more children. So, let's not fool
Well,
ourselves. These are all, sort of disingenuous ways of trying to skirt the real issue.
I see that Ratan Sharda ji wants to speak, but let me just go to Rahul Ratan ji and then I'll come
Just
back
20
to you.
seconds.
Rahul,
Just 20
uh,
seconds.
first let me get your view on this. More dangerous Hindu Muslim? Would you also and is that only being done by the BJP or is Muslim appeasement, which the Congress is accused of practicing, isn't that also sort of a Hindu Muslim polarization? I can't hear you. Yes, I can hear you now.
Is that the only question for me, or you want to talk about the
Let me
surprises
come
as
back
well?
to you. In the same breath, you can start answering about the two shockers for you. But just this
I would
first, and
prefer
then
answering some of those questions. I would prefer answering those questions rather than getting
getting into
distracted
this.
by.
All right, no
Uh,
problem, no problem. So then okay, fine. Let's drop this Hindu-Muslim and polarizing narrative, which we've started this show with. According to you, which were the pivotal moments of this elections, and how are they going to shape the verdict then?
Okay, so first, I think when pre-poll surveys came out in late March, early April, most of them had projected a very, very comfortable victory for BJP, 40% plus vote share, 320 plus seats. And I think most of us thought that this election is going to be a done deal, not so much excitement. But as the election progressed, what we saw, that narratives also started shifting, and some of those narratives have been eloquently highlighted by both RTG and Ratanji. I think what I, as someone who studies election, was surprised by, one, that we had not expected that BJP's own game of psychological domination by giving this clarion call of 370 and 400 is going to going to backfire. We don't know whether it has backfired or not, but at least in terms of like narrative setting, it changed the terms of debate, because somehow opposition parties were able to bring this home among a large section of Indian voters, or at least created this atmosphere that why does BJP need 370 or 400? And then you started having this conversation on constitution can get changed, your reservations can get sort of like taken away. And this basically put the Prime Minister and BJP on a slightly defensive pitch. So what we had not seen for a long time, BJP basically responding to the narrative that is being set by the opposition. This happened during this election campaign. And some of the questions also that you brought on the Hindu-Muslim question, and RTG also pointed out, this was largely a response which BJP in some ways was forced to do. Because they thought that if this idea of like caste census and redistribution is going to take shape, then they might have trouble in this long election. And, they fell back on the sort of like key ideological plank of playing on the Hindu-Muslim sort of like religious polarization axis. Second thing, what surprised me is that if you think in terms of like, again, March, BJP has unparalleled election machinery, which basically meant they have more ground presence in terms of cadre, but they also had a very robust online infrastructure. What seemed to have happened in this election, or at least what we have figured out till now, that opposition parties have managed to match them on the social media front. And the reason, so that's why I'm a bit confused of what is going to happen on June 4th, is because whether the sort of like conversations which opposition is trying to drive home to its voter is largely a conversation on social media and YouTube and other things, whether it's reaching on the ground or not. But certainly what they have managed to do is create a tit-for-tat counter narrative against the BJP on social media. So that is also like within a span of 2 to 3 months, something changing that drastically was unexpected when the polls were announced. And third, I think we still don't know, and we'll find out on June 4th. In January and February, it was hard to imagine that Ram Temple is not going to be a key plank on which BJP is going to mobilize. And perhaps people may still vote on this issue. Maybe they are not talking about it. This still remains an issue. But it is not a part of a large conversation, both among the voters, all the reporters that are being coming out, but also BJP is not pushing this agenda that much. So those were sort of like three key surprises as far as the election verdict is concerned. But, like Ratanji pointing about Jammu Kashmir, that's another surprise. And there are a couple more, but I'll stop there.
So Ratanji, let me just come to you with that one aspect about Ram Mandir that you talked about, and because yes, that was a surprise that most people thought that BJP would try to capitalize on the Ram Temple as much as possible. What was the rationale? And then many BJP leaders who once spoke to said that Ram Temple is an emotional issue. Let's not mix it with elections. Is that the strategy that the BJP went into these elections with? What was the rationale?
Well, if BJP had milked the Ram Mandir issue, you would have called it communal, you would have called it, not the right approach. BJP chose the other way, that have a subtle play of Ram Mandir, which was there in the manifesto, is there in the speeches. It was just a reminder to people that it has been done. It has been done. Beyond that, as I said, for Hindus, once the temple was made, for BJP, once that was done, a manifesto issue was very well taken care of, and there are more issues to be discussed. If we had the BJP at that time fallen into the trap of only talking about Ram Mandir, then the question would have been what it has done for the last 10 years. So to talk about economic development, talk about aspirational 2047, next 25 years, Amrit Kal, all these issues actually evoke the aspirations of the people. So entire
Right.
approach of BJP was aspirational. And just to make one point,
But
balancing caste and
aspirational, sir,
party
sorry to
is very
interrupt you.
different in invoking into the elections and saying, "Tumhara boss Brahman hai kya? Tumhara boss Baniya hai kya?" That's not the way you fight elections. I'm sorry, you don't mix up the two
You
issues.
know, you're absolutely right that the BJP went into this with on the developmental plank कि भाई 10 साल 10 साल में हमने ये किया, हमने governance दिया and किया. A lot has been done definitely during the last 10 years where they've reached out to the voters. But then suddenly midway during the elections, suddenly there was this whole Muslim manifesto conversation and the Mangal Sutras started happening. Was there, the opposition said कि BJP nervous हो गई है after the first few phases. Was there any truth to that?
Congress manifesto, plan of redistribution of wealth, etc. Okay. So I was one of the earliest ones who wrote an article questioning the issue of redistribution of wealth, and I questioned the way communists have failed, the way Venezuela failed, and whether this is the kind of model we want to go back to 1960s socialism, or we want to go ahead and have wealth to be distributed, etc. So only from BJP, PM was the first one to raise that issue, and once that issue is raised, why people didn't take Congress manifesto seriously? These are very serious issues. When the nation dropped the idea of socialism and the controlled economy or mixed economy joke, we went bankrupt in 1991, and Congress led the reforms. Why should they go back to 1960s failure of socialist and communist model, which led to killing of more than 11 crore people because they never succeeded? That is my question. And when you say that somebody has a prior right and distribution, every economic benefit must be measured on the communal angle of minority, etc. When you already have considered that for them minority means Muslims in various platforms, then naturally it has to be raised, because BJP didn't raise the issue of minority, majority, Hindu, Muslim in its manifesto. It was Congress which did it. So naturally BJP will pick it up. So it is not a question of midway. It is as and when it requires, it will pick up the issues. It is for opposition, it is for the parties to be careful how they actually articulate their views.
Aarti Cherak, do you agree with the entire redistribution of wealth agenda that Mr. Gandhi is going with in this election? Or do you
Firstly,
feel, as our
They are putting
panelist
it very
feels,
civilly.
that it's going to
Why
take us
see,
back
it has to be
into a
explained. When we
bygone era?
talk of Modi ji, he knows
firstly,
how
I
to talk
don't
to
think,
people.
Ratanji, are you talking or am I?
I didn't know. Okay, you go ahead. I thought I was talking.
Acha, no, you can go ahead, please. I have no problems.
So please go ahead. I was just saying, just one point I was making, that this issue of redistribution of wealth and distribution to, a prior right to minority, etc., in bracket Muslims, was something that was explained to people in a way rural people understand. It is not that Modi ji said it, on a different purpose. The issue was same. Somebody raised it. Modi ji presented in the way people understand.
Do you think, Aarti,
Sorry, go
that
ahead.
this issue
So
will have
firstly,
any...
Aditi,
Do you think this issue will have any resonance with the people? Has it resonated with the people? Are they going to be voting Congress because of this one issue? Because redistribution of wealth and the caste census has become a big issue in this election, you're right. Is it going to convert into votes for the Congress party? Aarti?
equitable distribution. All right? Because what we have seen in the last few years is a growing gap between the rich and the poor, more and more of the wealth being concentrated in the hands of a small minority. And at the bottom of the ladder, people getting poorer. And I mean, the very fact that you have to have a support network of free food and so on means that there are people who cannot afford to buy food. And that is why you've provided this support network to some 22 crore families across UP and Madhya Pradesh and so on. So, I think the idea is really, look, I'm not an economist and I'm not here as a defender of the Congress party. But it does, upset me when I find words are torn out of context and words are twisted to suit a particular ideology or a particular framework or a particular argument. Firstly, Manmohan Singh's comments were made more than 10 years ago. They were made, what, some 15 years ago. And to suddenly bring them up is really quite ridiculous. Secondly, he did not talk about the minorities have a right. If you see the entire paragraph, he is talking about marginalized communities, which includes SCs, STs, and so on and so forth. And, in that context, he said the minority, meaning these are the minorities, they have the first right to our resources. Now, the point is, I don't think it's a question of going back to socialism. I don't think in this day and age anybody can go back to socialism. You cannot, turn the clock backwards. Having opened up the economy, having, tried to release what Manmohan Singh used to refer to as the animal spirits of, Indian entrepreneurship, I don't think you can put the clock back. But yes, I think it is important that you do have you do bring more and more people into the market. You have a more equitable distribution of this wealth. You have it shouldn't be that just a few people get very rich and the rest remain at the bottom. So I think the idea is to close that gap as much as possible, narrow it as much as possible. And, I guess, the Congress hasn't spelled out how they plan to do it. These are, if at all the Congress forms a government, which is unlikely, these are things that will become apparent only when, the union budget is made or,
Okay,
policies are framed.
yeah,
So,
but
so
when
I
Mr.
think
Rahul
again we're
Gandhi goes
jumping
to
the
the,
gun on what the Congress
I'm
plans
sorry,
to do.
I'm interjecting here, Aarti, I'm sorry, because I just want to
No,
take
no.
that, because my question was that, is it going to translate into votes? Because when Mr. Rahul Gandhi goes there and speaks in a thing, ki, your population is 50% of the population, so 50% of the wealth of the nation should be yours. What is going down with the people is कि ये लोग power में आएंगे तो ये मुझे 50% पैसा my family income is going to go up, my share in the country's income is going to go up. I'm talking really from the point of view of actually those are his words, quote unquote, and these campaigns,
Yes.
and
Yes.
uh, and and that's where I'm coming from. That is that going to entice the viewers? And still, you're saying it's a good idea. It's definitely, it might entice the viewers, the voters, but it's not going to translate into votes because you're saying that it's the BJP which is getting the majority. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
The votes are cast on a whole range of issues. It is
Got
not
it.
just
Yeah,
on
yeah.
one speech or one issue that Rahul Gandhi raises. Okay, votes, the number of votes a party gets also depends on the kind of machinery they have on the ground, the kind of organization, their capacity to mobilize their voters, bring them to the booth, and get them to cast the vote. As you know, the Congress's organization has virtually vanished, which is why from being the predominant force in Indian politics today, it is down to a position where it cannot even claim the title of leader of opposition in parliament because it just doesn't win enough seats. So, I don't think Rahul Gandhi's speeches alone are going to entice the voter in that sense. Certainly, this slogan, I don't know whether it has been catchy enough. Rahul Gandhi is not a good communicator. I think the thing that seems to have caught the imagination of the voter is this talk about the constitution. Why does the BJP need 400 seats? Is the BJP going to change the constitution? Are they going to take away the reservation policy? I think that has certainly gone down and caught the imagination of the Dalit voter, of the tribal voter, for whom reservation is a very important instrument of social and economic empowerment.
Fair point.
So,
Now I'm just moving. I'd just like to move to the second part of our discussions in the interest of time, which is how many would you
Next,
predict?
10
And I
seconds
know
to go.
none of you are in the business of predicting, but I would still like to hear from you because you've been watchers of this entire thing. You know which are the swing states. You know what's happening in each of these states. Rahul, I'm going to come to you first because you're an avid student of Indian elections. I would like to call you rather professor of Indian elections. I would not dare to call you a student because you know virtually everything that's happening. So you know, I just want to put out a set of graphics on the screen, and I want to talk about. You know, for whoever there is a Yogender Yadav who's talked about BJP getting less than 250 seats and that the India bloc will cross the NDA numbers. That's his latest prediction, and according to him, those are the final numbers from his side after phase 6. He's done 2-3 of these predictions midway during the elections. And I'm putting on this data. Now, in 2019 poll data says that BJP won 105 seats by a margin of 3 lakh votes, right? In 2019, BJP won 164 seats by a margin of 2 lakh votes. Then they won 44 seats by a margin of 4 lakh votes and 15 seats by a margin of over 5 lakh votes. In fact, the BJP won 224 seats with 50% or above vote share. How much, and there on the ground, there doesn't seem to be any anger against this government, Modi government 2.0, so to speak. You know, there was that anger against the Congress, the UPA government in 2014, and you know, you could sense that palpable anger on the streets, among the voters. This time there's no anger, and this is the kind of margin in vote shares that the BJP has enjoyed in quite a number of seats that it won. How different do you see the outcome in 2024, given that the popularity of the Prime Minister remains at an all-time high? The campaigning of the last 40 days, obviously taking that into account, and the different narratives that have been there. What's your sense?
Aditi, I would like to remain a lifelong student of Indian politics. I would dare not ever to become a professor of this business. And you know, like the reason I study elections because elections not just fascinate me, but they always surprise me. And for those reasons, I research on this. See, you're absolutely right. One, BJP enjoys a huge sort of like margin of victory gap from 2019 coming into 2024 polls. Then they have popular leadership. There is a robust organizational machinery. So in all sense, and that's why, you know, like in March or April, most polls basically predicted this kind of victory for the BJP. What has definitely changed is the narrative during these 40 days. Now, how much is it going to hurt BJP remains a question. You will find people like Yogendra Yadav who is saying that there is going to be a significant sort of like damage to the BJP's prospect. And on the other hand, among the analysts, you will see someone like Prashant Kishore who would say that BJP is likely to retain its 2019 mark, may even improve a little bit. The way the way I see elections, for me, politics is structural. There are like either there is a national undercurrent against BJP, which means that you will see across their core base, core states running from UP, Haryana to Karnataka, there are going to be marginal losses, and those losses are going to be significant, and then they are not going to be able to make any sort of like big improvements in the eastern belt where they are hoping, and that means then you are likely to get a Yogendra Yadav kind of number. On the other hand, you have a Prashant Kishore number, which is basically suggests that in core areas, the losses are going to be minimal and significant gains in the east, and you get 305. So both these sort of like range from 250 to 305, 310 is possible. What this tells you, first, BJP is going to be the single largest party, and that's the consensus by a large margin, meaning that Congress, even if it improves its vote seat tally, it's not unlikely to cross 75, 80 mark, and BJP at minimum is going to be a 240, 250 party, which means that BJP, even in a worst case scenario, would be 3 times bigger than the Congress. See, second point, this election hinges on one thing. Electoral geography of this election is very, very clear. Unless Congress pulls down BJP in the northwestern states where Congress is fighting against BJP on one, where Congress did really badly in 2014 and 19. BJP strike rate in these states were around 90%. Unless that happens, BJP is going to be in striking distance of majority alone. I have no doubt about it. And even if the election has sort of like the narrative has changed, it's a bad analogy. But if you try to do something like, in an exam, if you try to take help of a master key and try to study at the last moment, you may pass the exam, may even get a 60%, but getting a distinction is going to be hard. So for me, I think Congress will not be able to pull down BJP significantly. BJP, which was poised to do really, really well, I think between March and April, they became slightly complacent, and perhaps that might bring their tally a little bit down. I would still hold that BJP will cross majority mark, but yes, not crossing the mark that pre-poll surveys were projecting in March, April.
Okay, Aarti, your thoughts on the 70 to 80 number that Rahul has given for Congress. I'd like your sense on that, and if there's 70 to 80, A, do you agree with that? B, do you think that they will be able to go up, touch the magical 100 number of seats? And if yes, whichever number that you're agreeing with, where are they going to come from, these seats? Which states?
So Aditi, your question is actually linked to the third part of your program, which are the key decider states. So do we want to bring that? Do we want to bring that point in now, or do we?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to do it together.
All right. So in that case, to my mind, the key decider states in this election will be UP, of course, because it is 80 seats, and that is the BJP's strongest bastion. Last time, even when the number of seats came down, it won 62. The other decider state is Maharashtra, again, the second largest state in the country, and the BJP and its allies virtually swept the state. This time, the BJP has a different set of allies because the Shiv Sena has split. The NCP has split. Sections of the Shiv Sena and the NCP have joined with the BJP. So you're looking at a completely different, kind of alignment of, political forces in Maharashtra going into these polls. So I think Maharashtra is a key decider state. And the third state, which I think is very important, I would say 3 states, not just 2, is Karnataka. Because Karnataka is where it is a direct clash between the Congress and the BJP. It is perhaps one state where the Congress could pull the BJP down, may not also pull the BJP down, I don't know. But the extent of damage that the BJP suffers in Karnataka will really determine how close to 272 or how close to 300 it will get. Because if the extent of damage is marginal, then I think the BJP, should be okay. But if the damage is quite significant, as some people had predicted that they may lose, up to 15 to 20 seats in Karnataka, I don't know where they will make up that number from, because everywhere there is attrition happening and gains are very marginal, in the south, in parts of the south and the east. So, yes, I agree with Rahul. I think the BJP is definitely going to be the single largest party by far. And so whether it is 250 or it's 272 or it's 300, it is going to form the next government. What I'm really hoping for this time, actually, is that we will have an opposition. The last 2 terms, we have seen no opposition whatsoever. Right. Because the only other national party which can play the role of an opposition has been the Congress, and the Congress has come down to its lowest possible ever tally, to the extent that it's not even been able to claim the position of leader of opposition in Parliament. I'm hoping that this election will throw up an opposition, an officially recognized opposition party in Parliament, around which other non-BJP parties can rally, so that there is some the checks and balances are restored in Parliament, in policy making, in discussions, in debates. I think this is very important for democracy. So for me, this is really the thing that I'm watching out for in these elections. I think it's pretty much taken for granted. The next government will be formed by the BJP. The question is, can we have a robust opposition to, sort of maintain, the democratic spirit?
So you're basically saying that the India alliance together, which has come together right now in bits and pieces, and in some states yes, in some states no. But you're saying that the India alliance, if it can continue as a bloc, even post these
That's right.
elections, and
Yes.
become that opposition. Again, the questions will again center around, frankly, between how many seats is Congress going to be able to get. If the Congress gets a sizable share of seats, at least there's one central point around which the other parties can rally. Don't you agree, Aarti?
That's right. But I think that, it is pretty obvious that the Congress will improve. The extent is, the question really is to what extent? Will it go up to 70? Will it go up to, as Yogendra Yadav has predicted, 90, 100, even 120, I think he said, a very optimistic figure for the Congress, which I don't agree with at all. But I think that, the Congress is definitely making gains in these elections. And so, it has to be more than the 52 it got last time.
Rahul, let me. I'll come to you. I'll come to you, sir, in just a moment, Ratanji. But Rahul has to leave in a short while, so I just want to take your sense, Rahul. Where are these seats if the Congress has to become that central opposition force in the parliament? Where are the seats for the Congress going to come from? Is Uttar Pradesh going to be the giver of those seats for Mr. Rahul Gandhi, or where? Or Karnataka, or where?
Okay, two points. First, because I don't think politics state by state, to me, the key state is UP. The reason why I'm saying UP, if BJP loses in UP, that will signal to me that there is a national undercurrent against BJP. If BJP manages to retain or adds, that means that there is a national undercurrent in favor of BJP. So, yes, there are going to be state level factors, as everyone is pointing out. Karnataka, BJP is expected to lose certain seats. Maybe Maharashtra is very difficult to call. So all those local factors, but once like the things are localized, then the losses BJP is going to suffer is minimal. Only when there is a national undercurrent, then those losses will basically go in a very different direction. Now, where can Congress gain seats? First, they have to retain seats in Kerala and Punjab to be able to make any gains. If they are going to lose seats in Punjab, which is likely, I'm not saying definitely, then they have to also think of states that are going to make up for some of the losses they might suffer. I think the sort of like extra seats for Congress are going to come from Karnataka. How much, we don't know. Few seats from Telangana. There are, like people have been saying in Rajasthan, BJP might lose a couple of seats, or Haryana, 1 or 2 seats. I think all of these basically add up to the number I was suggesting, around 65 to 70. Hoping that they do well in Kerala and Punjab. Other than that, I don't think there are states where Congress can actually pick up seats. So UP definitely is not going to be one of those places. If Congress is doing well in UP, as it did in 2009, then Congress should be doing very well across the country. In 2009 UP, Congress won 21 seats. That was the highest seat tally in after 1989 for them in UP. So UP, in some ways, because of its sort of like large state, but also like it symbolizes BJP's strength in a very competitive system. In Gujarat, BJP is strong, but it's basically a closed system. So UP, while being competitive, if BJP manages to make gains, then you will see BJP basically closer to the 2019 tally or higher than that. But if they lose a good number in UP, then you are going to see what Yogendra Yadav and others are projecting.
All right, got it. So what you're basically saying, one question before you go, sorry, last one, and then I'll come to you, Ratanji, on what he said about Bengal. And Prime Minister has been very, very gung-ho that the BJP tally is going to go up. I heard Aarti saying that, if BJP loses is losing seats in some of these critical places, but it's also making up seats, maybe some of those seats in the south, but also in Bengal, because that is a state where they had a sizable vote share the last time, almost equal to the TMC, just a few drops lesser. I think that was 40.6% versus 43.7%. Do you see that vote share? What's your sense of battleground Bengal?
Okay, so Bengal, like realistically, even if BJP improves, I don't think BJP is going to get say 25 seats in Bengal. Where, like in short, the game is of psychological domination. Even if BJP gets a 21 seat or 22 seat, which means it will become party number one and TMC will become party number two. So Bengal numbers are important from the perspective of what is going to unfold in next 2 years in the state. I don't think in Bengal BJP can make the kind of gains it expects to make in Odisha, right? So in Odisha, their gains in number of seats can be very substantial. In Bengal, it would be marginal, but a 3-seat gain will basically flip who's number one party in Bengal in 2024 election. And that's basically what at minimum BJP would be hoping for.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I think that.
Ratan Shardaji, do you agree? Thank you so much for your time, Rahul. So I know you have to go, so I'll let you go. Ratanji, let me just come to you with these numbers. What's your sense of how it's going to be panning out? Do you agree with the assessment given forth by Rahul of BJP's numbers?
See, first of all, I'll put it in a different manner. I would say that this is one of the rare elections when there is an undercurrent for a party in the third term also. It is a silent undercurrent, and you will see it in the results. Secondly, coming back to how much Congress can get or how much BJP can lose, we'll start from the last question you had, whether Rahul Gandhi talking about redistribution, caste census, etc., will gain any votes. See, he would have gained votes if there was trust in the party's delivery. Why there is no trust in party's delivery? You see what is happening in Himachal, what is happening in Karnataka, what is happening in Bengal, Punjab. The freebies culture, the culture of saying khatakat will give money and remove poverty, that does not work, even where the rural parties are there. So there is no trust in what Rahul says. Last election also, he made a wonderful point of minimum income to people, and he's saying same. The issue is trust. So when you just talk loose-headed and don't give exact policies, I'll do it, then naturally there's going to lack of trust, and that is what is going to put the game back into BJP's side. As far as the voting is concerned for Congress, if they had given some numbers, we could have debated on the numbers. They are not giving a numbers because they are just loosely talking about something or the other. There is no clarity. If I were to look at it, I would say that Telangana, Karnataka, Kerala, and of course Karnataka are 3 states where Congress can gain. Everywhere else, 1 or 2 seats here and there doesn't make a difference. The major chunk would come from Karnataka, Telangana, where they're absent last time, and also a bit Kerala, where they are on the other side once Marxists lose their popularity. Except this, how much they will gain, I do not know. And BJP's thrust for 350 plus lost momentum the day they lost momentum in Maharashtra and Karnataka because of group fights in Karnataka, the factional issues, lack of leadership, and Maharashtra because of too much confusion in the parties. I come from Mumbai. I know how confused the voters are. Even voters didn't know which symbol to vote for. And they were saying, where is Ghadi? Somebody said, where is Kamal? So all these issues are going to affect parties. So finally, Maharashtra outcome is not known. But Karnataka, we know that it is only because of BJP's lack of leadership or lack of cohesion, they will lose some seats. So to me, I stay with the figure that 325 plus is what BJP will gain. And for a party in a third term, scoring more than what it had in the earlier term, for it to lose, it has to lose its percentage share in the voting, which I doubt very much. They will not lose percentage share. On the contrary, the reach out in the south, which is always questioned whether BJP is already a party, even if they win Karnataka, they are not already a party. But once they put their flag up in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, and Telangana, you'll find that BJP will become one of the most widespread intensive party in India, and that will make 2029 much more tougher for Congress, and that also gives me fear that they'll go back to destructive politics. When RTG says we need a positive, opposition is work in Lok Sabha. In last entire Lok Sabha session, what people saw was disruption. They never saw a meaningful debate. They never saw meaningful opposition. So if they keep on playing the same politics, there might be clashes on the streets. There might be key issues on the street, whether C or whatever they can find. But as far as Lok Sabha election is concerned, if the opposition behaves the same way it behaved in the last Lok Sabha, I'm sorry, you will not find opposition despite a few marginal increase in the numbers.
But unemployment, as Aarti had pointed out, sir, right at the very beginning, unemployment remains an issue. Why, why do you think that, and the youth and the women are the key voters? Maybe you have the women voters, but why do you think unemployment is not going to make a chance, not going to put a dent in BJP's
See,
chances this
actually, I
time
don't buy
around?
that there is no employment generation because there have been enough figures that employment is generated, whether self-employed, whether it's increase in the Mudra loan, whether it's CS, figures of the ESI, etc. These EPF figures, they show that the employment has increased tremendously. It's just question of from where you look at the figures. As you know, figures can always be used in either way, but very wild figures that have been quoted today don't work, and we will come to know whether unemployment was actually seriously an issue if the BJP voting share drops or even it remains sane, I would say, because despite increasing popularity of Modi ji, if the voting share drops by 1%, we can still say, oh, there is some unhappiness. I doubt that. So I think
Let
uh,
me
unemployment is an issue, but not the kind way it has been made up. And BJP is not just depending on government jobs. That is the problem that we always look at government jobs. Modi from beginning, right from Gujarat days, has been talking about self-employment, employment generation, and that is where the real employment in India will come and money will come.
How
I have to
about
leave
Uttar
here.
Pradesh? How about
Please.
Uttar Pradesh, sir? Because I think there was a lot of conversation about
Uttar
Uttar
Pradesh,
Pradesh.
there is no chance of Congress picking up. I am very sorry to say, Congress has no chance in UP.
Despite the alliance with SP.
Whatever, it has no chance. Last time it dragged down other parties, this time also, except Raebareli, where there's some excitement. Nowhere else as to there is any revival chance of Congress because there is nothing at the local leadership level.
All right, तो रायबरेली जीत रहे हैं राहुल गांधी.
Can I leave?
Yes, ये बता दीजिए रायबरेली जीत रहे हैं राहुल गांधी.
I think he might win, but not the way grand way they hope they will win because after there is too much of emotion attached to the seat. Unfortunately, they never talked about grandfather who actually created the seat, Firoz Gandhi. That's really something which I don't understand. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, sir. I know you also have another commitment, so I'll let you go. Thank you, Aarti. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Ratanji, for your time. And I hope viewers that you have been sufficiently. I mean, there's of course varying voices, but at least we've been able to touch upon all the key issues during these last stretch of elections that we are in. Just one more phase to go, as I said, Punjab, Himachal, Chandigarh, and of course the remaining seats of Bihar, Odisha, Jharkhand, Uttar Pradesh, and Bengal. And then it's curtains. And then, of course, on the 1st of June, that is a Saturday, coming Saturday, please don't forget to catch us. We'll be back here with you with a lot of excitement. Exit poll data, 7 p.m. on June 1st. Please mark your calendars. Do join us again. Thank you.